What if the plant that society has demonized for decades is actually calling to your soul? What if cannabis isn't just a recreational escape or medical treatment, but a sacred teacher that recognizes something ancient within you? For thousands of years, before prohibition and propaganda, this green ally walked alongside humanity as a guide to expanded consciousness. Indigenous shamans called it a plant medicine. Ancient Hindus revered it as a gift from Shiva. Early Christian mystics used it in their sacred oils. But somewhere along the way, we forgot. We lost the connection between plant and spirit, reducing cannabis to either medicine or vice. Yet some souls never lost that connection. Some people feel called to this plant in ways they can't explain, drawn by something deeper than physical relief or temporary pleasure. If you've always felt different about marijuana, if it speaks to you in ways others don't understand, you might be one of those souls. If your relationship with it feels sacred rather than recreational, you might carry an ancient remembrance that most have forgotten. This isn't about glorifying drug use or dismissing legitimate concerns about cannabis. This is about recognizing that some people have a spiritual relationship with this plant, a relationship that goes beyond what science can measure or society can understand. Here are 5 signs that your soul connects deeply with marijuana, signs that point to something far older than modern medicine or recreational culture. The first sign isn't just about enjoying cannabis or finding it helpful. It's about sensing that the plant itself is alive, aware, and communicating with you. You don't just consume marijuana, you commune with it. This might sound strange to those who see plants as objects, but ancient wisdom traditions have always recognized plant consciousness. The Amazonian shamans speak with ayahuasca. Aboriginal Australians hear the voice of sacred plants. Hindu texts describe soma as a divine being, not just a substance. When you use cannabis, you feel something beyond the chemical effects. There's a presence there, an intelligence that seems to respond to your intentions. You might sense the plant guiding your thoughts, showing you patterns you hadn't noticed, or bringing awareness to parts of yourself that usually remain hidden. This isn't hallucination or imagination. Modern science is discovering what indigenous peoples always knew. Plants are far more conscious than we assumed. Research shows that plants communicate with each other, make decisions, and even have forms of memory. If a simple tomato plant can exhibit intelligence, why not cannabis? You notice that different strains feel like different teachers. Some varieties bring clarity and focus, like a wise elder sharing knowledge. Others offer comfort and healing, like a nurturing mother. Still others spark creativity and wonder, like a playful guide opening new doors of perception. The plant seems to know what you need. Sometimes it offers exactly the insight you've been seeking. Other times it shows you something you didn't know you needed to see. This isn't random pharmacology. It feels like conscious collaboration. You find yourself approaching cannabis with reverence rather than casualness. You might set intentions before using it, express gratitude afterward, or create ritual around your consumption. This isn't ceremonial pretense, it's natural respect for a conscious ally. Others might call this projection or wishful thinking, but you know the difference between imagining something and experiencing it. The plant's consciousness isn't a belief you hold, it's a reality you encounter. The second sign is that marijuana doesn't just change your mental state, it opens doorways to experiences that feel sacred and meaningful. While others might get giggly or sleepy, you find yourself touching something magnificent. Under cannabis influence, you access states of consciousness that mystics have described for centuries. Time becomes fluid, like the eternal now that Buddhist masters speak of. Your sense of separate self softens, echoing the unity consciousness described in Hindu texts. You feel connected to everything, experiencing what the ancient Greeks called Henosis, oneness with the divine. These aren't just pleasant feelings or interesting thoughts. They're genuine spiritual experiences that match what holy books and mystical traditions describe. The Vedas speak of expanded awareness beyond ordinary mind. The Bible mentions visions and altered states among prophets and saints. Cannabis seems to provide access to these same territories of consciousness. You might receive knowledge that proves accurate later, as if the plant connected you to information beyond your normal awareness. You could find solutions to problems that had puzzled you for months, or understand relationships and patterns with sudden clarity. The boundary between inner and outer worlds becomes permeable. You might feel the emotions of others more deeply, sense the energy of places and situations, or perceive subtle connections that normally escape notice. This isn't paranoia or oversensitivity, it's enhanced perception. Colors seem more alive, music carries deeper meaning, and ordinary objects show hidden beauty. You're not just getting high, you're seeing through the veil that usually obscures the sacred nature of reality. Everything becomes a doorway to wonder. These experiences often include what can only be called downloads of information. Complex ideas arrive fully formed in your mind, creative visions appear complete and detailed, or you understand truths about yourself and life, truths that would normally take years of study to grasp. The plant seems to dissolve the barriers that keep consciousness contained within its usual boundaries. You access what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, what Hindu texts name the Akashic records, what indigenous shamans know as the spirit world. The third sign is that cannabis changes your relationship with time in ways that feel spiritually significant. While others might simply feel relaxed or distracted, you experience time as something sacred, malleable, and full of meaning. Under cannabis influence, the present moment expands. Minutes can feel like hours, but rather than seeming slow or boring, this stretched time feels rich with possibility. You discover depths in each moment that you never noticed before. A single breath becomes a meditation. A glance at the sky opens into cosmic awareness. This time dilation matches descriptions from mystical traditions. Zen masters speak of the eternal present. Hindu sages describe time as Maya, illusion. Indigenous shamans know sacred time that exists outside normal duration. Cannabis seems to move you into these alternative temporal states. You begin to understand that clock time is just one way of measuring existence. There's biological time, marked by heartbeats and natural cycles. There's emotional time, where painful moments stretch while joyful ones race past. And there's sacred time, where eternity can exist in an instant. The plant teaches you patience in a world obsessed with speed. You find yourself naturally slowing down, savoring experiences, and resisting the rush that dominates modern life. This isn't laziness, it's wisdom about the true nature of time. Past and future start to feel less solid. Instead of being trapped in regrets about yesterday or anxieties about tomorrow, you settle into the only moment that truly exists. Now, this presence isn't just relaxation, it's a form of enlightenment that spiritual teachers have pointed toward for millennia. You notice that some of your most meaningful knowledge comes during these expanded moments. When time slows down, consciousness has space to work. Problems that seemed urgent show themselves as manageable. Relationships that felt complex become clear. Decisions that appeared difficult show obvious answers. The plant seems to be teaching you that time is not your master, but your ally. You don't have to be driven by deadlines and schedules. You can choose when to engage with clock time and when to step into sacred time. The fourth sign is that cannabis functions as a genuine spiritual teacher in your life. It offers lessons, guidance, and wisdom that helps you grow as a person. This goes far beyond recreational use or even medical relief. The plant becomes an active participant in your spiritual development. Like any good teacher, cannabis shows you things about yourself that you might prefer not to see. It holds up a mirror to your thoughts, behaviors, and motivations with sometimes uncomfortable clarity. You might realize how much time you spend lost in meaningless worries, or see patterns of thinking that don't serve you. But the plant doesn't judge. It simply shows. It displays your unconscious habits without condemnation, creating space for choice and change. This gentle correction feels more like guidance from a wise friend than criticism from an enemy. The lessons often come through direct experience rather than intellectual understanding. Instead of reading about compassion, you feel it flowing through you. Rather than thinking about interconnection, you experience your unity with all life. The plant teaches through being, not just knowing. You find that different sessions bring different teachings, as if the plant curriculum adapts to your current needs. Sometimes you learn about forgiveness by feeling grudges dissolve. Other times you understand creativity by experiencing ideas flowing freely. Occasionally you discover peace by settling into deep stillness. The plant also teaches discernment. It shows you the difference between thoughts that serve your growth and mental chatter that wastes energy. You learn to recognize when your mind is creating unnecessary drama versus when it's offering genuine wisdom. Like traditional spiritual teachers, cannabis sometimes challenges you. It might bring up difficult emotions that need processing or show you truths that require courage to accept. But it never gives you more than you can handle, and it always provides the strength to work with whatever arises. You begin to approach your relationship with cannabis the way students approach their spiritual teachers, with respect, preparation, and willingness to learn. You might fast before sessions, set clear intentions, or create sacred space for your encounters with the plant. The teaching doesn't end when the effects wear off. The knowledge and experiences continue working in your consciousness, integrating over days and weeks. You find yourself making different choices, seeing situations with new eyes, and responding to life from a deeper place of wisdom. The fifth and perhaps most mysterious sign is that marijuana seems to connect you to memories that aren't from this lifetime. You experience what can only be called ancient memory, as if the plant is helping you remember something your soul has always known. This might manifest as sudden familiarity with traditions you've never studied. You feel drawn to indigenous ceremonies, Hindu practices, or mystical Christianity without understanding why. The plant seems to be reawakening knowledge that was always inside you. You might find yourself naturally adopting behaviors that match ancient spiritual practices. Perhaps you begin meditating without formal instruction, or you feel called to spend time in nature in ways that mirror shamanic practices. These aren't imitations, they feel like remembering. Under cannabis influence, you sometimes access what feels like genetic memory or soul memory. You see flashes of other times and places, not as fantasies, but as authentic recollections. You remember when humans and plants communicated freely, when consciousness wasn't trapped in individual minds, when the sacred was recognized in all things. The plant might show you visions of how it was used in ancient times, in Egyptian temples, by Scythian shamans, in early Christian communities. These aren't historical documentaries, but felt experiences, as if you were there participating in these sacred practices. You begin to understand that your attraction to cannabis isn't just personal preference, but soul recognition. Some part of you remembers when this plant was humanity's ally in accessing higher consciousness. You're not developing a new relationship, you're remembering an old one. This memory extends beyond cannabis to include other plant medicines and natural healing practices. You find yourself instinctively knowing which herbs support different conditions, or understanding how to work with natural cycles and energies. The plant is reawakening your natural healer. You might also remember times when this knowledge was suppressed, when the connection between humans and plant consciousness was deliberately broken. You feel the grief of this separation and the joy of reconnection. The plant is helping heal not just personal trauma, but ancestral and collective trauma. These memories often come with a sense of mission or purpose. You feel called to help restore the sacred relationship between humans and plants, to share what you're remembering, or to heal the damage caused by disconnection from nature. The ancient memory isn't just about the past, it's about the future. You sense that humanity is ready to remember these connections again, that the time of separation is ending. Cannabis is one of the teachers helping people wake up to their true nature and their sacred relationship with all life. If you recognize yourself in these signs, you carry a sacred responsibility. Your deep connection with cannabis isn't just for your own benefit, it's part of a larger awakening happening on Earth. You're not just a user of this plant, you're a guardian of ancient knowledge. This means approaching your relationship with cannabis with the reverence it deserves. It means using the plant consciously, with intention and respect. It means sharing what you learn responsibly, helping others understand the difference between recreational use and sacred practice. It also means protecting both yourself and the plant from those who would misuse this connection. Not everyone is ready for the teachings cannabis offers. Not everyone can handle the responsibility that comes with plant consciousness. Your role isn't to convince others, but to model what sacred relationship looks like. The signs we've discussed aren't about superiority or special status. They're about recognizing a particular path of spiritual development that works through plant consciousness. Just as some souls are called to meditation, others to service, and still others to creative expression. Some are called to learn through plant teachers. This calling comes with challenges. Society doesn't always understand or support plant-based spirituality. You might face judgment, legal concerns, or pressure to conform to more conventional spiritual practices. But your connection to cannabis is valid, authentic, and important. The plant kingdom is awakening alongside humanity. After centuries of being seen as resources to exploit rather than teachers to learn from, plants are reclaiming their role as guides and healers. Cannabis is one of the strongest voices in this plant awakening, calling to souls who can hear its message. Your deep connection with marijuana isn't a coincidence, an addiction, or a phase. It's a recognition between your soul and an ancient ally, a remembering of knowledge that was never truly lost, and a preparation for the sacred work of healing our disconnected world. Listen to what the plant is teaching you. Honor the connection you've discovered. And remember that in caring for this relationship, you're caring for something much larger than yourself. You're helping restore the sacred bond between human and plant consciousness that our world desperately needs. The green teacher is calling. Your soul is answering. And the ancient memory is awakening once again.